Now, joining us to further analyze this and help us better understand what happened at the market yesterday is Mr. Olaide Banu, research analyst at Atlas Portfolio Limited. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Banu.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning to you. Now, let's look at the performance of the market yesterday as we saw the NGX All Share Index closing at 50,756.7 basis points to reflect a decline of 1 point. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Mr. Banu? All right, we'll try to establish a connect with Mr. Banu. But of course, we're looking at the performance of the stock market yesterday. We saw a decline. Of course, that's starting the week on a bearish note. And Mr. Banu is here to help us better understand the reason for this bearish beginning. The market is beginning the week on a bearish note. Mr. Banu, are you here with us?
Yeah, I'm here with you. Thank you.
All right, good to have you join us again. Now, the All Share Index closed at 50,756.7 points to reflect a decline of 1.96% from the previous trading day and a year-to-date return of 18.82%. And of course, this means that the market is starting on a negative note. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, the market yesterday, as you said, declined by 1.79%. as against the 1.76%. I mean,
1.96%.
Yes, as against 1.96, as I said. So, and this as a result of the decline, the sell-off in the one of the most capitalized stock in the market, Dangote Cement, and 30 other stocks in the market, especially the industrial sector, industrial goods sector. So the market was definitely impacted the decline in the Dangote Cement, and I believe it's also the reflection of the Fed rates that was declared, that was tightened again last week, Wednesday, and since that time we are yet to record any significant, any positive sentiment in the markets.
But if you look at the close of the market yesterday, 20th of June, the stock exchange stood at 27.3 trillion naira at the end of the trading day, while the market capitalization declined by 550.6 billion naira. Help us make sense of this.
Yeah, this decline, as I said, Dangote Cement has the most capitalized stock in the market, and if Dangote Cement alone is losing 10% of its market value, definitely it will impact the overall capitalization stock exactly of the markets, and this is what is happening, and it's also affecting the index as a whole. So it's just the mix sense, the sell-off, and I would call it a kind of profit taking, because Dangote Cement has remained at a particular price for quite a long time, over a month now. So this profit taking is because of that the price depreciation in the world, called Dangote Cement, and many others are looking at the likes of WAPCO, the First Bank, the Flour Mill, that all these ones are very, very high capitalized stocks in the market.
We'll definitely take a more in-depth look at the losers chart. But let's start with the gainers chart, where we see Jay's Bank going up by 5.32% to close at 99 kobo, and then also followed by Regal Insurance going up by 3.7% to close at 28 kobo, while Japan also closed in the green with 3.33% to close at 31 kobo. What would you attribute the rally in these stocks to?
Yeah, first looking at the Jay's Bank has been a kind of resilient stock in the market so far, this year. And the price has always been on a seesaw movement. As at last week, the price was still was as low as about 90 kobo, and which gives a kind of positive reaction to some investors. And even looking at that last week, the price was around that 1 naira also again. So it's a kind of seesaw sentiment, and investor looking at at 94 kobo as at yesterday was a good buy for them. If possible, the price can go upward to about 1 naira again then before coming down. So this period is just looking about the reaction of the investors in the market. And looking at Regal Insurance has been on a steady decline over the long period of time, and this investor may look at, okay, yes, coming that down to about 27 kobo is signifying a positive return for them, that if invest in what we call it in a quite long time, then they can have another positive return. Look, the same thing with Japohol has.
Sorry. Do you see them sustaining? I'm talking about Regal Insurance now. Do you see them sustaining that positive trend?
Yeah, majority of the stocks that gained yesterday, and they may not be able to have that to sustain that positive sentiment. Majority of them, but
why? What are the reasons?
The reason being that these investors are quite cautious about their investment return as we speak today. So, looking at the overall market generally, that the investors are quite cautious about it is just about the reflection of the market's reaction as a whole. So some stocks may have a positive gain today, while tomorrow have a kind of negative reaction. So if you look at even majority of the stocks that gained yesterday, the percentage growth in them is quite marginal, up to 2%, 3% is very, very marginal and kind of fragile for them.
Okay, let's also look at the stocks of Zenith Bank, which went up 2.8% to close at 22 naira, and that of NACO, that's the Nigeria Aviation Handling Company, going up by 2.363% to close at 7 naira 80 kobo. What would you describe as the reason for the positive sentiment?
Presently now, looking at the aviation sector generally, you know, the Jet A1, the fare for the aviation is actually on the high side. Exactly, it's not. And this definitely increasing the price of air flights. And as in the long run, we expect that, okay, this may actually increase the revenue of the aviation companies. But however, if the price is going higher, definitely there will be more of kind of low patronage. And the volume also determine their revenue. But however, the market is not looking currently as it is. It's not even looking at their financials as a whole now, but looking at their stock, their prices, taking a kind of marginal return and able to make at least enough profits and look at another asset class or another stock in the market to invest into.
What about that of Zenith Bank?
Zenith Bank, Zenith Bank about 21.40 kobo open yesterday is a kind of a good reaction, because majority of even all this stock in the market, they have good numbers as they were, because Zenith Bank at 21.40 kobo is, to many investors in the market, it's a good buy. But how long will the market continue? To continue this very sentiment? That's why we are still having some kind of much of profit taking in the markets now.
All right, let's delve to the other side of the table. That's the losers chart, where we see Dangote Cement, of course, topping the losers list with a 10% decline to close at 249 naira 30 kobo. Mr. Banu?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. So I was talking about the losers charts, looking at those who topped that list. Of course, we know that Dangote Cement topped the list with a 10% decline to close at 249 naira 30 kobo, and that was followed by Union Bank of Nigeria, which of course closed in the red, 10% to close at 5 naira 40 kobo, followed by Livestock, which of course also lost 9.7% to close at 1 naira 20 kobo. How would you describe the negative sentiment in these stocks?
Dangote Cement, as I said earlier, is just the profit taking around it. And for the Union Bank, the acquisition of Union Bank by the TTB may actually be signifying some kind of investors cautious trading around it. You know, when there's kind of acquisition like that, and if you remember, there was total change of the board of Union Bank, and this may signify some kind of other kind of reaction, a conscious reaction, so to say, for some investors. They may begin to take profits from the stock, from the investment, then before looking at what can happen in the near future. For the livestock doing around 1 naira 20 kobo is just a kind of mixed reaction, profit taking, investment again, because livestock itself has always been on a kind of seesaw movement over time. And the likes of international bureau also is kind of profit taking. What happens generally in those stocks are just profit taking. Some investors are even like stopping their losses to look at what a kind of investment to look into again.
Well, let's talk about the top traded stocks by volume, which of course seems to be in favor of the banking sector, as we saw the United Bank for Africa, UBA, trading 29.4 million, and then followed by FCMB, which of course traded 28.85 million, and then Access also traded 21.96 million. What more do we know about these stocks?
Banking stock, as you said, they are the most liquid stock in the market. And if you look at what happened yesterday, there was that decline also. And majority of these investors, so to say, the fund managers, they've actually tied their money in there, especially in the banking stock, because of the liquidity in it. And this may actually be signifying some kind of fund manager withdrawing their fund, especially in the banking stocks. And if you look, as I said, the likes of these banks and these top trader banks, they take they take about 40% of what was traded yesterday in the market. So this is just the liquidity and kind of let me say the HNI and fund managers reactions to the market.
Nestle also topped the stocks traded by value with 592.06 million stocks, exchanging hands. Should investors pitch their tent in this direction?
For Nestle Nigeria, the reason I would say is because of the price. The price trading about 1,400 naira per unit is a very high price. And if you look at Airtel also, if Airtel trade about 200,000 units, 300,000 units in a day, and looking at the price, it will definitely be around the top 5, or even worst case scenario, top 10 of the most traded value in the market for that particular day. So it's the price. We can't actually say, okay, yes, this kind of positive sentiment, kind of looking into the stock in the near future. But however, looking at the numbers as a whole, majority of stocks in the market are quite good in terms, but looking at the other macroeconomic indicator, like the interest rate and what is happening in the equity market globally, they are kind of cautious trading in the markets now.
So should investors settle in this direction?
Yeah, I would advise investors to be cautious about their trading, their investment also, and it depends on what they are looking at. If the investor is looking at a long-term trading, then it's a good time because the numbers are quite good in the market now.
Okay, but we see something interesting happen here. We see the stocks of UBA, that's the United Bank for Africa, they traded by volume and also appearing as one of the top traded by value at 221.19 million. What do you think is happening here?
Yeah, then the kind of directors dealing, so to say, though I haven't seen any kind of notification from the IDS on that, but I believe it's kind of back-end dealing around that Union Bank. So, and all coupled with the fact that UBA is one of the most liquid stock in the market, as even what they call it the premium the premium stocks.
Okay, what sentiment do you think are likely to dominate the market this week? Is the negative sentiment likely to continue?
It's likely to continue because looking at what is happening in the global equity market is likely to continue for the meantime. But as I said earlier, for long-term investors, the numbers are quite good for them.
All right, thank you so much, Olaide Banu. It's a fine place to leave it, and thank you for bringing us, some in-depth analysis on what happened in the market yesterday. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, have a good day now. I've been speaking with Olaide Banu, research analyst at Atlas Portfolio Limited, talking to us about the market sentiment that took place yesterday. We'll take a break now. When we come back, it will be time to delve into the fixed income and money market. Please stay with us.